Hey, welcome back to Funniest People You've Never Heard of, Funniest People Pod. This is Todd.
Hey, everyone.
I'm Peter. Holy cow, today we have a great guest. It is the accomplished writer and stand-up, Marlena Rodriguez. You have seen her work in Silicon Valley, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, Clone High, and multiple TV appearances on HBO.
Badass.
Oh yeah, totally cool. She talks a little bit about, the inside of like writers' rooms and kind of like the minutia and the formulas that work well and might not work well. Todd, have you ever been inside of a writer's room?
Well, her story about being in a writer's room kind of triggered some past trauma for me about an old internship I had. And actually the guy who was rude to me then runs a very large studio now. So I won't say names because I don't want to.
Ted Sarandis, why'd you?
Yeah, I don't want to get Epsteined.
Oh God, yeah.
But luckily, Marlena walked me through some traumatic event there, so that was really helpful. But you totally get why all the best writers are pretty much alcoholics when you realize how much trauma is linked to creativity.
And you'll get really creative with a bottle of tequila especial.
Yum, yum, yum.
This is my favorite tequila right here. And Todd, how can we get more of this?
For a bottle of tequila especial, go to www.tequilaespecial.com. Have a few sips. All of a sudden, you're going to feel really funny, really creative. Write it down, read it in the morning, and realize you're not as funny as you thought you were.
Only one way to find out.
Very true. Also, Peter, we're still doing these negative sponsorships. So I wanted to remind you that you're actually paying for this episode. Oh. Peter luckily got a refund on his flight back to Florida once Puff Daddy was arrested. The party was canceled. Peter luckily was able to get all of the lube back and return that to Smart and Final. And he was able to help us out with this podcast. So thank you, Peter, and thank you to the New York Police Department.
I cannot comment on any ongoing investigations. Well, and for more on inside writers' rooms, television appearances, how to get a manager, and Chicago improv all the way around the country, please stay tuned for this episode with Marlena Rodriguez. Hey, real quick, can I borrow like $25?
No. I do have cash.
Hey, folks, welcome to the podcast, Funniest People You've Never Heard of. And our guest today, if you've never heard of her, you're not paying attention because she is the star of stage and screen, a screenwriter in some of the best comedy writing rooms you've ever heard of on HBO, Silicon Valley, Netflix, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, and she has her own HBO special. Wow. Marlena Rodriguez. Holy cow.
Hi.
Marlena, how's it going today?
Wow, it's going great. I woke up this morning thinking it was Monday.
Oh, wow.
And I jumped out of bed.
Well, for those listening on the day that this is dropping, it's a Tuesday. But obviously you could listen to this anytime you want. And you know what? Monday's it's a state of mind, isn't it?
It is. I feel like Tuesday is more of like, oh no,
Yes, exactly.
It's Monday again.
And that's why we drop the podcast on Tuesdays to give people a reason to live.
That man talking right now, that's Todd from the outfield. Todd, what's up? Do you have any questions to lead off here for Marlena?
Do I have any questions?
Yeah. Just say anything off the top of your head.
I know you guys know each other a little bit, so I'm very excited to get to know you and hear your story.
Well, great. Well, that's Todd from the outfield. He'll be chiming in periodically. So, Marlena, okay, so, I've worked together on stand-up shows and stuff like that. And, your material, you talk about dating, you talk about exes, you talk about, day-to-day, life and stuff like that.
I have a lot of intrusive thoughts about the way that I look and body and stuff, which I just I know it's unnecessary because I look amazing. And but they just happen and I can't control them. The other day I saw an ad for a missing girl and her description was brown hair, brown eyes, slim build. And I was like, slim build? Good for you, bitch. Yes, get it, girl. Also, come home, girl. Because you have to tell me your secret. What are you doing? What is wrong with me? That is a real thing that I thought. I saw that and my very first reaction was just pretty, skinny, and missing. I wish. I'm fat and everyone knows where I am. It's terrible.
It's 2024. This year for you, You've got some Deadline heat. You've been featured on Deadline, working on some upcoming development projects. What stage are you at with upcoming projects?
Let's see. We are currently on our network draft.
Ooh.
Some context. I sold a show to CBS, which means that, thank you. Which means that now we have to write the pilot. So that's what we've been doing, and we're deep in it.
Who's we?
We is me and the Chonga Girls.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So you know them.
On top of all the things that
Everybody
you've done,
knows
all your
them.
accomplishments, you also host and perform in shows around Los Angeles. In fact, I met the Chonga Girls. I believe it was at your show on the east side of Lyric Hyperion Theater, right? Where you do this great...
Indeed. I do dark, which is stand up in the dark.
Wow, yeah.
It's very scary for most comedians.
This feels
Especially
like
when you have your sunglasses on the whole time.
Yeah.
I was going to say, this feels like a podcast in the dark with our sunglasses on here.
Can you tell us more about the Chonga Girls? Because I don't know them.
The Chonga Girls are this comedy duo from Miami. They originally did the viral video Chongalicious.
Oh.
It's Mimi Davila and Lara Di Lorenzo. Ooh. And so Chongalicious was like one of the first viral videos. It was like set to Fergalicious. Chongalicious definition, make the boys go loco.
Go Chonga, yeah.
I don't know, probably go Chonga.
That's
but
fun.
yeah. So they're a sensation and they're really awesome, and yeah.
Congratulations, that's fun. I want to go a little bit further back into your history. Silicon Valley. When did you join that writing?
Well, first,
Mm-hmm.
you want me to go first?
Yeah.
I'm a Second City girl.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Like I did Second City back in Chicago. I was doing stand-up too, but I toured with them for 2 years.
Yes, the
and
Torco.
That's where you go to bumfuck nowhere and do like a 2,000 person theater.
Then skipping up to Silicon Valley, when did you join that writing room, and what was that experience like?
Skip the other stuff.
What's the other stuff?
My first job.
Yada,
What was your
yada,
first
yada.
job?
My first job was Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt.
We'll get back to that. I want to get back
We
to
are?
that. Yeah,
we
we'll
are
get back to
jumping time.
Yeah,
like
We'll
Peter,
jump
I'll
around.
say,
Like
as
some
the
kind
guy
of
who's going to
fancy-
edit this, we are zigzagging.
We're zigzagging around. Well, okay.
I want to know, because I feel like people listening might be, people who want to work in entertainment one day. I think they'd like to know kind of the stepping stones, how you got in the room the first time.
Okay, we'll go
that type of thing.
chronologically.
So I wouldn't mind going
We'll
chronologically.
go chronologically then. We'll go linear. Time is not linear though, man. You know what I'm saying? So,
But TV is.
but television, is.
I think my craziest story is how I got a manager.
Okay.
People are like, how'd you get a manager? And I'm like, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
Once upon a time, I was in college.
Oh,
Thank you.
this was like 5 years ago?
Boston University. Oh my God, wow. Once upon a time, I was in college and I was on an improv team called
boy.
Sons of Liberty at Boston University.
Wow.
And we were drinking all the Kool-Aid. And we went to the Skidmore College Comedy Fest. And we were so excited. We go, we perform, super fun. Now, it was like the 20th anniversary, which is a huge deal. One of the founders of the festival was there, who was a executive producer on 30 Rock.
Whoa.
And so we were all shitting our pants.
Yeah.
But he was a really big deal.
Yeah, of course.
So they do a Q&A,
Yeah.
which is really cool. And it's like Tim Meadows, Horatio Sands.
Wow.
So they're doing the Q&A and they're like, one more question. And I, in front of like 1,000 people, stand up. I was very young and fun.
Yeah.
Stand up and I'm like, are you guys going to come to the after party?
Very cool. Very cool question. That's like, all right, this person right there, they're cool. They get it. Let's wrap it up.
They were absolutely like in their late 30s, early 40s. And they said yes.
Heck yeah.
I don't know if that's a good thing these days.
That's kind of cool.
But it was cool. It was cool.
Of course.
And it was all kosher. Let's get ahead of it. So they go to the after party.
Nice.
And this big time executive producer / manager is there. Okay. And everyone's like crowded around him. Oh, and I'm like, and I get in there and it's like, I was the one to ask you to come.
Very fun. Very fun.
Super fun,
Party
right?
girl vibes. Yeah.
That's that.
Yeah.
Then I'm still in college.
Great.
And instead of going to like Italy or something, I go to Chicago to go to this like college program that Second City is doing called Comedy Studies.
Wow.
And when I go, at the end of the semester, it happens to be the 50th anniversary of Second City.
No
And
kidding.
there's all these celebrities there. And it's such a big deal. And they let all of us, the Comedy Studies kids, like check people in. Like they let us be little interns and stuff. It was incredible. And so I'm like walking down this big hallway, and coming down towards me is this executive producer manager guy.
That you had seen at the Skidmore thing.
Yes.
Great.
And I'm young and fun. And I'm
Yeah.
like, hey, it's me. Remember me? Oh,
Remember
like-
me, party girl. Woo!
Like, oh, I was the girl who asked. I probably was like, I was the girl who asked if you would go to the after party. And it was like, yeah, we remember you.
Really?
Nice.
So that was really cool. And I think somewhere in there, I asked for his email, and
Brilliant.
I got it.
Brilliant.
Once again, like first key, getting a manager, being young and dumb, and it happening to be fine.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
I think if I'm looking at your story, first off, Kevin Hart said something recently that was so interesting, where he was like, I was in a room with Jeff Bezos.
Do his voice, please. Or
Kevin
someone
Hart's
quote him.
voice?
Yeah.
He was in a room with Jeff Bezos, and everyone was like, nobody's allowed to talk to Jeff Bezos. But Kevin Hart just went up to him and was like, hey, Jeff, nice to meet you. I'm Kevin. Love what you're doing, yada, yada, quick. And then he exited. And he said that first conversation opened him up for the second conversation because, and it was more likely that they would, either create a friendship or partnership or, some type of like work relationship, because when somebody comes up to you and you've never known them, introducing yourself by name and then saying like, hey, well, how can you help me? You're like, can we work together, or can, blah, blah, blah. That is so overwhelming and daunting. And for some reason, people that are green tend to think that it's going to happen all in one night.
Mm-hmm.
And what you did was you were like personality first. You're like, yeah, let's party. Let's like go to a party, whatever.
It's a two-step.
And then, then you were then you were like, hey, I'm putting myself in situations to succeed, and I'm going to, meet you again down the road. And that is so cool.
And now Kevin Hart,
yeah.
by the way, gets all of his deliveries same day, no matter what.
He
Whether
does,
paid
yeah,
for it or not.
exactly.
Oh my God, that's so powerful.
And so then you get his email.
So then I get his email.
Yeah.
And I send him an email where I'm like, hey, like, could I like work at 30 Rock in some way? And he responds and he's like, all right, well, send me like something funny, send me like your stuff. And so I send him like some sketches I had done during this Second City college semester.
Great.
No,
Not great.
they were not great. I was like very new to all of it. Very new to writing still.
Oh.
And I didn't hear anything.
Oh, that's painful.
I didn't hear anything for a real long time. And I was like, well, that's done. And then I'll never forget, I was getting on the L. It's the train there.
Right,
it's
yeah, the loop.
elevated.
Yeah.
And I got an email from him.
How
And it was
how long?
responding to my original email.
This is
how
years?
How long?
4 years later.
Oh my God.
4 years?
4
No
years
way.
later.
Wow.
4 years later.
You leave quite an impression.
Well, he was talking to the casting person at Second City and saw that I was part of the, I guess so. He
So he remembered
recognized
you.
me,
Wow.
which is wild.
Yeah.
And he was like, send me something funny.
Again.
Yeah. And I was like,
Wow.
holy shit.
Yeah.
They
I'm
say
getting
sometimes
no
it's better to
chance.
be lucky than good, but this is be memorable than good. Like
Wow.
you like were so memorable that by the time you were good, he came back to you, kind of.
That's so true. Also, yes, that is so true. Todd, that's good insight. So then 4
I
years
got lucky
later,
here and there.
Todd is very smart. He really makes up
he makes up for
Yeah,
what
what
we're-
was
you're
happening
bringing to
over
the
here.
We're yin
table,
and
what
yang.
you're taking off the table.
He's the Noel, I'm the Liam of this experiment. So, okay, so 4 years pass and you've got some better work, yeah?
I have some better work, and I send him that stuff. And I think I'm proud of it. And the next time I hear from him, he goes,
What is this, 4 years later? Or how long did it take him to
no,
respond?
he responds pretty quickly, actually.
Oh, great.
And he's like,
I'm
he
your manager now.
introduces me to my manager.
Wow, that's wild, dude.
It was wild. And so what am I going to say when somebody's like, how do you get a manager? Oh, well,
Exactly.
be like a young idiot.
Yeah.
And then like go here, but ask a question. And
No,
then,
but the rule of put yourself out there, keep getting better at your craft.
very much so.
Yeah.
Check your
Stay
email
focused.
daily.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, check your email.
Do your email.
Don't go anywhere with no reception.
That is so true. Yeah, you can't, because you can't give that full story to someone like, hey, I want to have a manager too. But I think what I'm getting from it.
Don't you
and what
dare
Todd just
interpret
said-
what I'm saying,
what
Peter.
What Todd just said is make yourself discoverable and test yourself and continue to get better. So then you're Kimmy Schmidt. Holy cow, what's it like working with Tina Fey? And any fun, interesting stories coming out of that writer's room?
I mean, I just remember the first time she sat down next to me and I was like, what is happening?
Big aura, huh?
It was so crazy.
Mm-hmm.
She's so talented and effortlessly funny.
Let me ask you this. Working with her,
Terrifying.
yeah, it was terrifying, right?
It's terrifying.
People have described Martin Scorsese as such a great director because he can solve issues in two moves where it might, or one move where it might take other people longer or more moves. With Tina Fey, in creating a script, is she quicker to find jokes in that same way where she's, just kind of like elite level genius, or
Yeah,
or how would you describe her?
She's pretty much elite level genius.
Yeah. And just like the jokes come to her faster just based on the hours of time she's put in.
And raw talent, yada yada. But god damn.
So then what do you what's the pressure that leads to you, pitching a joke in front of, this person?
Well, here's what you need to know about writers' rooms and being a staff writer is like nobody tells you how to do it. And there's a lot of unwritten rules that you just don't know.
Mm-hmm.
People always frame it like this. Mm-hmm. Staff writers aren't allowed to talk.
Oh.
Sure, if you'd like to frame it like that. But really what it is that you need to be the best listener you've ever been. And you need to learn. And that is the key to learning as quickly as possible. The culture of the room, everyone's style, the tone of the room, how to pitch jokes. As soon as you can figure out how to listen to the showrunner, because you'll sit there and you want to create value so badly that you get really lost in your own ideas and how you think something will get solved or like how to come up with something. And in all of that time, there were other things happening probably.
Right.
And so you might pitch something that is from a problem 5 minutes ago. The worst is like when you're below a mid-level writer for sure is pitching something that we already decided didn't work.
Right.
And it's very easy to be like, we're still in this problem. I'm still so sure that my idea works. And it just doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
Your idea doesn't matter.
And
Can I tell a story about that? Sorry,
Yeah.
I feel triggered. Now, when I was in college, I interned for the show Smallville, and I was in the writers' room just writing on the whiteboard ideas that came out. And what you're saying is so funny to me because I threw out an idea as an intern, some like 19-year-old.
oh no.
That's crazy.
One idea, and then after that, the guy who's in charge of all the interns told me, they said, you're not in that room anymore.
No.
And they moved me over somewhere else. And to this day, I've thought, you know what? Good for you, Todd. You know what? Your one chance. You had an idea. You went with it. No one said that's the stupidest thing. They kept talking. But now that you're telling me that even staff writers shouldn't be throwing out pitching ideas necessarily, the fact that I did that as an intern, I finally realized I was wrong.
Jeez.
And I want to apologize to the
honestly
staff of
takes-
Smallville
it
season
takes
4.
so long. It takes so long to realize this stuff.
Yeah.
And I just want to be so clear. It's not that you shouldn't be pitching stuff. It's just that you should be listening and learning what this room even is and learning how to do story 90% of the time.
That's interesting because, what you're describing is using that improv tool. It's like, oh, you're listening, you're not hung up on one thing. You're paying attention to what's happening in the room and not getting stuck on an idea that you want to really, shoehorn in there. And that's a great use of, improv in that sense. And then also, every room you go into, like, as you're describing, it's like a different type of team. There are teams that are led by friendly coaches. There are showrunners. There are teams that are led by like dictator type coaches or showrunners. And, once you figure out the vibe, then you can settle in and play your part, as a puzzle piece in the puzzle, right? Mm-hmm. That's amazing. I mean, since Todd shared a terrible story, I was
Thank
on.
you for sharing, Todd. Very
No worries.
vulnerable.
No, it was a good story, but it was like terrible. I mean, I'm glad you learned that lesson
That
young,
shit will
right?
haunt you forever.
Yeah, man.
Like forever and ever. And it takes so long. So if I can just get you there first.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Learn from my
Take that advice.
mistake and your guidance.
I was on an episode of The Neighborhood, and
Okay.
they were right. Yeah, he's your CBS family, and Cedric the Entertainer was like improvising the blow line of this scene, like the big, like, it's a multicam, so it's like it's got to be like a big laugh.
The whole scene happened and the scene is clearly over, but let's get one joke to wrap it up.
Yeah. So then, haha, clap, transition, fade into the next scene. And he was like pitching a bunch of them. And then I wanted to go over it. I was like, oh man, I've got the best line. I've got the best.
My palms are sweating listening to you tell
I've
the
got
story.
the
I don't know what's
best-
about to happen.
I've got the best blow line. And my pitch was going to be like father, like son. And it was going to get a big laugh and it was going to be fun. So I went to go over. So I know. And it's not that he was struggling with it, but he was doing so many good ones. And then the director was like,
Cedric.
I know. But the director was like, we can't, this is primetime network TV. Like, we can't say that or we can't do that. And we don't have the option to bleep you, But he was like putting out so many funny things. And it felt like a fun, creative environment. And I was like, oh, I want to hop over there. Like, and then what if you say like father, like son? And so I go to walk over there and I'm walking over to Cedric, and the scene is in a convenience store. So I'm on one end near the refrigerator, and he's by the cash register. And I'm walking over, and they're like, all right, well, we're going to do lunch. And I'm like, never mind.
Oh, it didn't happen?
It didn't happen, yeah. And
That
then,
could have saved your whole
Thank
career.
God.
You'd be blacklisted.
legitimately.
Or something.
Then
Yeah.
friends of mine had given me the same advice that you just said. It's like, oh man, that would have not gone over with anybody ever. That would have been a terrible
Because even if that was the
decision.
best one, just through ego and paychecks and all that, there's no way they could have.
I was so
gone
eager
with
to
it.
be like, me too. Da, 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 da. Like, let's do. We're comedians, right? But that would have been absolutely terrible. Saved by lunch, honestly.
Listen, I used to be so mad at the hierarchy and be like, why is this like this? Because the people at the bottom don't fucking know what they're talking about. And that's okay.
Everything's a nightmare. Like, I'm pretty sure Jekyll and Hyde is just a story about when I take my makeup off for the first time and a new lover is nearby. Because having a guy sleep over always seems like such an amazing, sexy idea. Until it's time for actual sleeping, and then you have to, shimmy into the bathroom for the transformation. Get in there, wash off my favorite lie, Suddenly just covered in truth, and I'm like, all right, great. Let's just see how much of this we can cover in head hay. All right, and so I'll bring this over. And just then you won't see any of it. This is good. All right, and how much of this can we hide in my neck? Here we go. Now I'm making 1,000 chins, so we're gonna have to pull a cower on this one. And we're cowering over, and we're ready to go in the room like I'm back. Can you believe we just had sex?
How did that change? What was that environment like compared to, Silicon Valley?
I mean, Kimmy Schmidt, 2015 was the end of big staffs, high budgets. And then when I went to HBO, it was like, oh, they have money again. Like this is with their 2 coffee runs.
Sure.
So working with fancy showrunners,
Got it.
It's a totally different experience.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of different rooms going off.
I miss those rooms so much.
And so then, working on a show like, oh my God, I didn't even mention my absolute favorite cartoon or my favorite animated show of all time, Clone High.
Clone High.
And you wrote my favorite episode of season 2, the sleepover episode. It was so good.
We had fun.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
We probably can't afford the rights to cut to it right
Right.
here. So can you just explain the full episode?
Oh my God. No, I can't pitch.
It's and obviously from Lord and Miller.
Yeah.
And
Wow, nice. Love them.
massive
They're
fan.
the best.
For you personally, you kind of had this fun story about how your HBO stand-up special came to be. You had something like, was it like 2 weeks or like 2 months to put it together?
Oh my God. My TV appearances have been a wreck. Okay,
yeah, let's run through them.
My HBO quarter hour, that was a thing. There was a time.
What a moment
There
in
was
time,
a time
man.
in like 2017 to 2019 where quarter hours became like this big thing. It was wild.
That's fun.
Like, just call it premium blend and get me out of here.
Sure.
So I had like 2 weeks notice.
2 weeks.
Yeah, in LA, which is terrible because in LA it's really hard to run sets.
Right.
Now my late night set.
Lily Singh.
Thank you so much. One of the first Latinas on late night.
Oh. So then how did Lily your late night appearance?
I got a
show?
text morning of.
Morning of.
Morning of. My mustache was grown in.
Nice.
My nails weren't done.
Mm-hmm.
It was terrible.
But you went up there and you did it.
I went up there and I did it. I felt really good about it.
As far as your TV appearances and everything, and just kind of like your personal comedy career, you're no stranger to like adversity and stuff like that. And you've been talking recently
You mean trauma?
Yeah, well, that too. But you've been talking.
That leads to the best laughs.
You've been talking and putting out on social media like you're journeying with your health over the last year or so. Where are you on that? And what's the update? And how are you treating that? And how is it informing your comedy?
Well, January 2023, I was diagnosed with breast cancer and a pretty aggressive form. Mm-hmm. And so I had to go into treatment immediately.
Okay.
And that was terrible. And it also was fucking terrible.
Yeah.
So that was really hard. It was really confusing. Oh, what do I want to say about that? I'm still processing what I have to say about cancer. I got to do stand-up a few times during it. That was cool because I got to feel, that was the closest I got to feeling normal because nobody knew.
Yeah.
Unless I said something, which I didn't. But I mostly laid in bed and I was doing a bunch of development and that also felt like, oh, this is making me feel like things are a little bit normal.
You'd mentioned to me one time, you were like, oh, I'm not, you're kind of dipping your toe into talking about that journey. Is that kind of like where you see your stand-up going? And are you going to share that story and like, on stage?
No.
Not really? Really?
I tried it and realized that I'm going to take my glasses off for this part.
Sure, yeah.
It's time to get serious. I tried doing cancer material and it sucks. It was too hard because people felt bad and sad and or triggered because there's a lot more like people dealing with somebody with cancer out there than any of us are talking about. But it was too hard, and I realized the only way you can do this is if you are working on like a one-person show, or if you are a headliner.
I see.
And I am not doing either of those things right now. And I decided actually the more important story that I want to tell is about remission, because remission is a nightmare.
Oh.
It's really terrible. No one's talking about that. And your friends disappear because they think you're fine. Your support system literally leaves because it's like you're fine. You expect to be fine. You really do. But what you don't realize is that during treatment, you were in fight or flight. And so you weren't really like processing anything. And then you, once you come out of treatment, your body goes like, all right, time for a year's worth of really, really rough emotions.
Ooh.
And at the same time, I was dealing with all these side effects. So that's a story that I want to tell, and I'm figuring it out right now. But I'm gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it through stand-up, at least for now.
Sure.
Because I just think there's a more important story to tell that hasn't been told before.
Yeah,
For sure.
And that goes. That's all part of it. You're a fascinating, multi-layered person with multi-hyphenates. Writer, producer, stand-up. And everything that goes along with that.
You too.
Oh yeah, sure. Thank you. But I'm really excited to see what you do next. And for anyone that wants to come along with you on your your journey in the entertainment industry and anything else, where can people find you online?
On Instagram, I am Marlena Got a Life.
Oh, okay.
On Venmo, I am Marlena Rodriguez. No spaces, no characters. But I want to plug.
Yeah, please.
When I was bald, or 99.9% bald, I did a video series, and that's on my Instagram, and it's really fun, and I'm really proud of it, and I'm really unattractive in it, which was a big challenge for
Which
me.
is very difficult for you.
Whoa.
Okay, vulnerable time. I have this fear that if I am posting on the internet, which I should be posting so much on the internet because I'm like a comedian, a performer, and a writer, and privately famous, and I don't look flawless, then me being single, wanting to mingle, is gonna put it up. A man is gonna see it. He's gonna be like, bleh. And then I'll be alone forever? Is this an irrational fear? I hope so. But it is a super strong fear, and it means that I don't like post anything. I wish I did, because if I don't, oh my God, it is so hot in here. Here's a tip for my girlies whose hair isn't in their face enough. First, remember you have cancer. Get creative with it. I have cancer. Okay, brush back what you still have. Get those tangles out, ladies. Only half of it came out. Channel your inner 40-year-old man. Maybe this is a bit of a crisis. No shade. What you can do from here, a beautiful twist, then just kind of like right past your ear. Maybe she's born with it. Maybe it's cancer.
Final thing. This is Funniest People You've Never Heard of. Everyone's heard of you now. Is there someone you think we should be featuring on this show? Someone that should be one of our guests upcoming?
Yes.
And whom?
Grace Johnson.
Okay.
A very, very funny stand-up, actually out of New York.
Okay.
But she is incredible. She is on the rise.
Dang. Yeah.
She's really awesome. Check her out.
Okay.
She's kind of big on TikTok, actually.
Grace Johnson.
Grace Johnson.
Nice. Well,
Great.
we'll have to check in with Grace Johnson. Oh, perfect. All right. Well, Todd from the outfield, Marlena Rodriguez, thank you for being our guest today.
Thank you for having me.
This is Funniest People You've Never Heard of. You've heard of Marlena now. And
Oh, it's a screen.
yeah, it's back there. For anyone
Expensive.
watching, yeah, there you go. Oh, is he right behind me? Oh, no. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for listening. Take care. Have a great day, and tune in next time. Bye. Funniest People You've Never Heard of is a production of Toby or Not Toby Productions. Executive producer, Todd Fields. Producer and host, Peter Murphy. Studio space provided by Third Wheel. Theme song written and performed by Justin Fields. Brought to you by Tequila Especial. Don't forget to like and subscribe.